Hey Leos, it's Tiffany Harlick, and I am here to give you the 2024 spiritual astrology forecast. So if you are a Leo sun, moon, or rising, or maybe you're watching for a Leo that you love so much, you're in the right place. By way of a quick introduction, again, my name is Tiffany. I practice in Austin, Texas. I've been studying astrology since the year 2000. I have a private practice. I offer sessions. My master's is in health psychology, and I'm also certified to teach psychic development and yoga. And I'm a beekeeper. So astrology is my jam, and it is my pleasure to show you what I think is in store for you this year. So before we get going, what are the spiritual opportunities in general, right? We all come from different walks of life and different beliefs, and they're going to be different for everyone. But how I'm looking at them are these challenges, these opportunities for self-development, opportunities to connect with the unseen world and to just find the zhuzh in life, the synchronicities, the things that give us these pivotal moments to look within, reflect, evolve, and grow. So I do practice Western astrology. I practice evolutionary astrology. And so you'll see my work is through that lens. What we're going to talk about today, this is the order, this is the run of show. So we're going to look at the theme, your theme for the year, what I think your theme is going to be for the year. We're going to look at the Jupiter-Uranus transit, how it's going to affect you and your self-development this year. Your eclipses, what's changing, what's staying the same. Of course, the retrogrades, and then we're going to look at your ruling planet, which is the sun. And so we're going to go month by month and look through the solar transits and see how that might help illuminate some information for your 2024 theme. So your spiritual opportunities, Leo, have to do with education, educational platforms, and information exchange. So are you in right alignment with the type of data that you're taking in? Are you in right alignment with the type of information that you're sharing, right? So this idea of kind of this elevated way to have conversations, to teach people, to learn from people. Humanitarian aid could be part of your year or part of your focus this year. And I want you to just understand that what I'm talking about is really that third and ninth house where education is a big theme. So whether you're in a learning year or in a teaching year, these are the types of things that I want you to consider. Here's some mantras for you, Leo. Number one is, it's good to be me. I trust my body to guide me to correct circumstances and people throughout the year. I'm excited about shining more in 2024. You're the only one that got a rhyme, so there you go. The Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is one of the bigger ones that astrologers are talking about in 2024. So I did want to start there because you're going to be feeling it, and then it'll release in April. So April, May, yes, you're still going to be feeling it, but it's more the lead up to, and then the release in April. And so this is going to happen in your 10th house of career. Career and reputation and how the world sees you, what the world needs from you, right, Leo? So you might find that you're making some job changes this spring, or you might feel a new calling. You don't have to stop what you're doing and drop it and do something completely else, but you might. Jupiter expands, it grows us, it gives us the information that our soul is thirsty for, right? And Uranus makes it happen quickly. Uranus also just gives us that, this together, I think Jupiter and Uranus, things can change quickly, right? So being aware that you might feel a new calling next spring is going to be helpful to your own growth. A self-development thing that you could be doing here this spring is going to be to journal through your midheaven placement, right? So my midheaven is in Virgo, for example. So it doesn't matter what I'm doing, as long as I'm doing it in a Virgo way, as long as I'm giving bullet points, bite-sized pieces of practical information, I'm going to feel a sense of fulfillment. And that comes from knowing and studying my midheaven, okay? So knowing your midheaven placement and looking at that with your astrologer could be very helpful for you this year. The eclipses are going to go through your third house, ninth house, eighth house, and ninth house again. And because of this focus on education, communication, the student platform, things like this, I want you to be really aware of what you're putting into your mind and how you're using your mind. And so one of the most powerful tools I have used over the year is the Silva method for mind control. So Jose Silva was born in El Paso, Texas, and he developed a system. There are many versions out there, paid and free. And I just encourage you to play around with it, experiment with it. The main thing is that they're teaching you a method to calm the mind and to access higher states of consciousness and to use your mind in a positive way. And really, one of the biggest tricks that I've heard him say, Jose Silva, in his trainings, is that you have to have it be for maximum good for the most amount of people. So you're not using this method of spiritual vision just for yourself only, right? It's actually something that is going to help uplift the whole world. So what's changing in astrology this year, Leo? Jupiter is going to move into your 11th house. Pluto is going to be dancing in that 6th and 7th house. So Jupiter moving into Gemini there for you. Again, I think finding alignment, finding areas where you want to be in networks or in groups, learning stuff. Now, I'm also suggesting that, let's see, what did I do next? Okay, that you list out some bullet points as to how you treat your love life and your financial life. Okay, so the love life and the financial life are also related to all of the axes that are spinning and circulating for you this year. So I have a story here for you having to do with a client of mine who felt like the type of people she was dating, they were just putting her last, putting her last, putting her last. I said, how are you treating your finances? And the same thing, she felt the same way at her job. She wanted to have that job pivot that we're talking about, but she was always last. Her boss wasn't paying attention to her. Everybody else was getting answered, but not her. I said, how are you treating your money? And she was like, what? I said, well, how do you treat it? Is it top of mind? Do you have a plan on the 1st and the 15th to check in? Like, are your bills all crumpled up? And so she identified that she puts her money last. She doesn't really deal with it. And so when we start to shift one area of our life, the other areas start to shift too. And as she started to get more responsible with her finances, she found that other people were more responsive to her. So that's how this Venn diagram, this medicine wheel of your life, can start to work together and plinko into place. All right, what's staying the same here? We've got Saturn and Neptune will stay in your 8th house, right? Shared resources, the deepest human bonds, the things that we are just so viscerally connected to. The North Node will remain in your 9th house, the house where we have our spiritual vision, our bucket list travel, the things that we really just want to experience and understand and know about this world. And Uranus and Taurus will also be in your 10th house for a little bit more time here. So your journal prompt, right? This 8th house emphasis helps us with our gut reactions and our deepest human bonds. And so when we're having those gut reactions, when something just really stimulates and affects us, right? Acceptance is kind of the key to be moving through those big, huge emotions that crop up throughout the year. So here's a journal prompt for you to use when those things happen, right? Anything that feels unbalanced or that you're having a big reaction to, are you able to see, what am I not able to accept today? What am I willing to accept right now? And what might I be willing to accept in the future, but not right now? So there's a little prompt for you. As we look at the retrogrades, Leo, we've got 3 in Mercury and 1 in Mars. So as we look at Mercury, they're going to happen in April, August, and November through your 9th, 1st, and 5th houses. And in your self-development journal prompt here, how will you celebrate some milestones? What are the bucket list items that you are excited about, either going for or revisiting or making a plan for, right? These are the type of things, the things that bring you joy, that help you celebrate yourself, and that connect you to the broader culture and the broader tribe of humanity. Okay. Mars retrograde is going to go through your 12th and 1st house here. So Leo to Cancer, right? Cancer to Leo. It's this is the travel area of Mars at the end of the year. And so you will be re-stimulated in the areas of the subconscious and the self. I have a book recommendation for you, Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I bought it and I never read it. And then I listened to it on Audible while I was walking. And I found that was great because there are some guided meditations. And I thought that might be one that would help you with the 12th to 1st house dance there later in the year. So your ruling planet is the sun, right? The sun is a primal motivating factor in helping you decide how you want to work with your energy and your relationships this year. So as you're rising to the occasion of your life, I'm asking all the signs, what core feelings are you going to stop using against yourself? What core thoughts are you going to stop using against yourself, right? What are you going to do to increase the agility and adaptability of your own passionate responses? So you can see the theme starting to roll out. So before we go into the solar transits where I'm going month by month for you, I just wanted to drop a little promo for the digital astrology calendar. You can use the code STORMY 2024 and get $10 off. So it's normally $39. You can get it for $29 with Stormy's code. And I love this calendar. I've written it for the last 7 years. It goes on any device. You can click on the title and it'll open a description and you can start to learn astrology because it'll show you, okay, yeah, the sun square Jupiter means this. And so you'll get some astrology lessons throughout the year. There's also a very clear emoji, a sunshine for an easygoing day and an umbrella for maybe a day that you might want to lay low or be aware of more tense energies. So keep that in mind. If that feels like a good fit, great. And let's look at your month by month. So Leo, in January, I'm suggesting a theme of integration for you. It's a 9-month in the numerology, which is all about assimilation and closure and tying things up. And it doesn't quite match with like January energy when we all want to have this fresh start, right? It's like more of a, no, we're still kind of putting things together, having more completion. And your self-development activity is to do some kind of vision board or Pinterest board or something that integrates all aspects of yourself. So to be a little woo-woo for a second, when we're doing healing work, right, we're calling in all aspects of ourself that we have left somewhere, whether it's from trauma, drama, wounds, past life, or just a mistake we made a couple of months ago. Our souls can get fractured. And so this idea of calling in all aspects of our soul in January, or bringing in the pieces that you're aware of, right? You don't have to know everything or get it all right. But if I'm going into January with all aspects of myself, what does that look like on paper? There's Tiffany, the beekeeper. There's Tiffany, the astrologer. There's Tiffany, the mom, the lover, the friend, the daughter, right? The business owner. There's different aspects of me that I want to bring forward and I don't want to leave out. Okay, so the first half of January, the sun is going to square Chiron in the nodes. So it starts out a little rocky and then smooths out. So there's some tension going on at first. As it moves on and trines Uranus and sextiles Neptune, I think you're going to have really a more creative approach. Having good sleep is going to be helpful, right? Solutions come after sleep, as they say. And then I want you to be just open to something that is even a better solution than you could even see coming. That happened for me this week. I had this plan. I stressed out about my plan. It didn't feel good. And then a solution came and it made sense why I did things the way I did. A creative solution opened after a stressful time. So then we've also got the sun moving into Aquarius. So your ruling planet, the sun, is going to be in the sign of the network, the neighborhood. Well, Aquarius, I wouldn't say neighborhood, but I would say the network, your social groups, the collective consciousness, the futuristic approaches, AI, right? So I'm not promoting or not promoting it, but the idea here is that the sun is in this very futuristic sign. And so what technology can you be a good steward of? What technology can you allow to help make your life a little bit easier? There's a square to Jupiter by the end of the month, so moderation in all things. This is the Temperance card in Tarot, where you've got to kind of weigh things out. Sometimes when the sun is squared Jupiter, you can get overly inflated, overly stimulated, overly challenged, right? And sometimes we like a good challenge, depending on your chemistry, right? Some people really like that challenge to have that breakthrough moment. So there's a challenge from ourself, who we think we are, and our belief system. So maybe how we were conditioned by society or our families or other areas. And so there's an aha moment available for you. As long as you're not overdoing it, you're going to be fine, right? No overspending, oversharing, things like that. Okay. So in February, February goes into a 1 month, which is more about having blinders on and staying focused. We just need to be aware if we're going to need to stay focused to share with our loved ones that we need some extra time for our special projects. Because of that, I want you to be using relationships as a lens of awareness for yourself, how you are in relationship. Anything out there that's triggering you, bothering you, just hitting you wrong, you know what I mean? Those are the types of things that are going to help us be really critically aware of who we are, what's really going on in here. So we're healed until we're triggered, as my teacher Lisa says, right? Now, here's a relationship inventory, not written by me, but it is one that I do. So if I'm upset out there, I know that I've got 3 fingers pointing back at me and that the work is mine. That if I'm angry, that I set the ball rolling and I can figure that out, right? So these are the list of questions that I personally do when upset or agitated. And if you're like, I'm not there, I'm good, I'm in a very neutral place, then some questions that you could ask yourself on a more regular basis are off to the side. So if you're doing a relationship check-in with somebody, you know, your best friend, your kiddo, your lover, you can say, hey, what do you think went well this week? All right, do you see any area that I can improve? And have I been of service to you or anyone else, right? Okay. So some self-awareness going on in February continues. The sun will sextile Chiron in the North Node and Uranus, right? So those are doors open. There's a little bit more flow. It lights you up. There's a self-illumination going on, and there's a part of you that's just going to do things a little bit different, that needs to take the road less traveled, that needs that sense of spontaneity. So you might not want to completely pack your schedule all of February so that you have room to play a little bit. One that I'm want everybody to be aware of is here mid-February, Mars conjuncts Pluto in Aquarius, which is in your 7th house. And it's in that fixed sign, right? You're a fixed sign. Aquarius is a fixed sign. And so I know that Mars transits tend to come in hot and early. So you might feel this February 7th to 14th. But Mars pierces and penetrates and forces things forward and creates a little competition. And Pluto is all about that great big change that we all need to go through. And so this could be one of those darkest before the dawn moments. And so if you're feeling crunchy or you're feeling like things are intense, don't push it and just be aware that this too shall pass pretty quickly. Mars and Pluto are hot. And so there could be elements of heat that would be helpful in your healing, like lasers or saunas. It could be that you're inflamed and you need to use some cooling herbs or some cooling like peppermint tea, stuff like this. So just pay attention to your own constitution, of course. On the 19th, the sun will move from Aquarius into Pisces, the creative, the dreamer, the muse. John Lennon said, give peace a chance, right? That's the sun in Pisces. This is a time when we can be more generous, more philanthropic, and just chill out a little, right? Just take things a little bit easier. In March, Leo, I've got some big magic to report for you, and I have a book recommendation. So Elizabeth Gilbert is not everyone's, on the top of everybody's list. So if you are into her style, big magic might be for you. And if you're not, The Artist's Way might be another one to try. But both of these books look at the creative process, and that might be really useful for you, especially with the sun in Pisces. What is part of your creative process? The numerology shifts into a 2, which has a more relationship focus, and you're going to have eyes wide open because you're going to have done your relationship inventory. You're going to understand what feels like harmony and reciprocity and good balance in terms of your relationships. Now, in March, there are definitely some mixed vibes here. I know that the sun is doing some good things out there. Yeah, the doors are open, the opportunities are there. You're going to want to make hay while the sun shines. But I also know that Mars squares Uranus in these first 2 weeks too. And so there can be that feeling of being overly stimulated. So it's a both and. It's like, yeah, their doors are open and you don't have to go overboard with things. So then the sun will enter Aries. We'll have our equinox moment. I've got an Einstein quote here for you. It says, the true value of a human being is determined primarily by the measure and the sense in which he has attained liberation from the self. Cool that it's an Einstein quote. So liberation from the self, right? Aries is the sign of the self. And so, why would we need to be liberated from the self? Well, we'd start to identify as this human body instead of this spiritual being having a human experience. And so, that is really what the essence of that quote is about. In March, we have our first eclipse of the year, and for you, it falls in the third house, Leo. This is where we start to incorporate that bigger theme of education platforms, foreign aid, public speaking, talking in schools, sharing information. And so we want to really understand more about our learning and our intelligence. And here are some questions that will be brought to you 3 times throughout the year as these eclipses fall on your third and ninth house axis. So your networks are changing. What neighbors, what extended family, what schoolmates, or what siblings do you want to reconnect with this year? There's an awareness maybe of a need to be around higher vibe people, higher consciousness people, smart people. Travel could be part of how you understand your own spiritual connection, right? So I won't read through all of these, but you might want to grab a screenshot and use them throughout the year. As we look here, this eclipse is part of a moon family that started back in September of 2022 and ends in December of 2024. You can look at the house where 5 degrees Libra sits in your chart and review that with your astrologer, because 5 degrees of Libra might be sitting right on your sun, or it might be opposing your Pluto, or there might be some extra interesting tidbit that could be a really awakening aha moment for you. So a self-development activity would be to look and study that 5 degrees of Libra in your chart. In April, I'm wondering if you're going to have a brave new view. I'm wondering if you're going to be vulnerable and be able to change your mind about something. Your journal prompt is actually exactly that. Like, when has somebody changed your mind, or what circumstance has changed your mind, right? I remember a time when I was walking in a garden here in Austin, Texas, and it was in Zilker Botanical Gardens. And so there are many different types of gardens. There's different versions of gardens. There's different cultures are represented in the different gardens, but they all kind of end up in this one main garden, the Rose Garden. And I was having this huge spiritual breakdown. I'm sure there was a Saturn transit going on, but I was really questioning myself and my faith and everything. And as I looked down, I saw a sign that said, "Please stay on the path." And I was like, okay, so as long as I stayed on the path, what I understood is they all make it back to the Rose Garden. They all get back. And that is an example of something that really changed my perspective, really changed my view, and helped me navigate my own spirituality. So maybe you have something like that. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's revealed to you in a movie or a book or a story or a song. But this could be something interesting for you to journal through. It is a 3-month, which has more to do with connection and creativity. So in April, the sun will be right next to the North Node on the 4th, right? So early in the month, that feeling of destiny with the North Node, that feeling that fate is pulling you forward, that you've got a direction, that you have purpose, that you're excited about. And yeah, some doors are going to close as the sun squares Pluto later in the month. But that brings us those opportunities to have those breakdowns and breakthroughs. So I was giving you an example of my own spiritual breakdown and breakthrough, and it could be something like that cooking for you. And if not for you, maybe it's all those other Leos, right? So we also have Mercury retrograde in April, most of April, in Aries, another fire sign, in your 9th house. Your view of the world, your philosophy. The 9th house is traditionally ruled by Jupiter, right? The king of the gods, the one that helps us with our soul quest, with our journey for truth, with our foreign travels, our foreign languages. And so it could be a time when you want to go back over learning a foreign language. It's in Aries, so it helps us find a part of ourselves that we lost touch with. All right. Now, more information in April. We also have an eclipse right on the 8th, and this is the one that will be seen by North America, that will cross over North America in 19 degrees of Aries. So wherever that is in your chart, you could look up with your astrologer and see more information for you personally. But overall, this eclipse goes through your 9th house, right? And this is that desire to understand that soul quest, that journey that we all take, that why are we here, the understanding life, having a creator of my own understanding. These are the same types of questions I've listed before. So feel free to grab a screenshot if you'd like. And then here, this new moon eclipse kicks off a new 2.5-year cycle. Here are the 4 pertinent dates with that, and it will end, the mission will complete in July of 2026. All right. Now, we talked about this earlier, that the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction on April 20th is impactful. It's a big one. We're excited about it. It happens once every 12 to 14 years. I listed some dates previously, so if you wanted to look back in time and see what you were doing January 4th of 2011 and so on, you might really find some clues there for you. Jupiter provides growth opportunities, and Uranus is very unpredictable, unstable, but also forward thinking. So getting out of your comfort zone, you won't have to do anything. The life is going to show you where the growing opportunities are. And because this is in your 10th house, I know that starting a new journey with your reputation or your career or your calling or understanding what the world needs from you better by studying your midheaven is going to be a very, very helpful tool for you. In May, we're talking about miracles for you, Leo. So the numerology changes to a 4, and the 4 and an 8 year is very much the energy of like the surfer, like you're standing still, but the water's all around you and you're having to like keep your composure and stay balanced, right? It requires strength and flexibility. The 4 also helps us remove things that we don't need, takes things away, helps us declutter. A self-development activity for you in May is to really identify some miracles. How do you define miracles? If you don't have any examples of miracles, you could read a book or watch a movie about them. I know that I read one recently called The Visions of the Children, and it was about the children in Lourdes that were seeing visions of Mary. Now, whether you define that as a miracle or not, totally up to you. However, there's a theme here that I want you to explore and play with. The sun will sextile Saturn and Neptune and go on to trine Pluto. So all month long, the sun is really helping bolster your own inner work, the structures that you're setting up for yourself with your spirituality, the disciplines that you want to have, and the changes that you're seeking. So hard work is paying off. Stay focused. Your dreams do come true. The sun will move from Taurus into Gemini here in May. And so I know that with the sun in Gemini, it's a good stimulation for wanting to learn things, wanting to talk through things, wanting to chat, having a lot of tabs open, being able to multitask. So what are the possibilities when you don't hold yourself back in May? Now, towards the end of the month, we do have Mars right next to Chiron. This happens in your 9th house, and so there might be a little pain point for you to explore in terms of your belief, right? Your belief systems. And the search for your identity is within understanding your worldview. So stay curious. Chiron heals. Chiron heals. Chiron is the medicine bag that you carry with you. It is the wounded healer, right? And so it has gone through something to get to where it's at. There's a part of you that has been vulnerable that is strengthened. In June, I'm suggesting leaps of faith for you, Leo. So here's your intention. I experience adventure, freedom, and inner peace. Can we do it all at the same time? This life is a treasure. When the numerology changes to a 5, you see that we can be spread in too many directions. We can feel like we're pulling ourselves too thin. And so I know that June is going to be a busy month. There's going to be some highs and lows. There's going to be some soul connections being made. So take a look at what people are showing up in your life. With the sun trine the south node, there can be some feelings of deja vu. With it square Saturn, you can have some more self-awareness and discipline. With it also square Neptune. And then when it sextiles Chiron, right? You might need to ask for some help, or you might need to give some help. The sun sextile Chiron is kind of like being in AA and taking a newly sober person through the 12 steps of recovery, or like being the big brother in the fraternity and taking the little brother through the hazing and saying, look, I've been there, it's a hard time, and you're going to get over it, and we're going to make it this through. It's like adopting a big brother or little sister through a humanitarian program, right? So some things to keep in mind for June. Also, one of the bigger transits of the year is Jupiter is going to trine Pluto in early June. You'll feel that in May and it'll release in June. This is opportunities for big faith, for taking these big leaps of faith. So revisiting the Silva techniques, looking at the spiritual law of non-resistance, right? Earlier this summer, I was asked, what's the downfall of humanity? And I just said resistance, resistance to everything. And so that there is a spiritual law of non-resistance that can be useful to you when you are like a leaf on a fast moving stream, when you're in a flow, right? You can think about the honeybees, they get on a flow, and meaning the nectar comes in at one time and they're all like working together. When you are in this flow of nature and things are working together, it strengthens us together. This could be a time when you're seeking once in a lifetime experiences too. And I listed some dates for when this occurred previously in case you want to study up in your life. Little red flag, a little caution lights come on this first part of June as Mars squares Pluto. Something is definitely wanting to change, stimulating change. The more we can be like that leaf on the fast moving stream, the less it's going to hurt, right? So what is wanting to change through you quickly? So be aware and take some safety precautions. As we have solstice on June 20th, right, the sun will enter Cancer for about a month. The sun in Cancer, this is a time of year when maybe we want to have our family reunions or be around water or have some quiet time, like the crab likes to retreat a little bit. It's also a very intuitive time when you might want to be taking some psychic development studies. Home and family is key for sure. And I will take that theme of home and family on with us into July. The numerology shifts into a 6, and I love the 6. Wherever I live, I'll change the address numerology to a 6, even the hotel rooms, because I really enjoy the frequency of nesting, of being comfortable in my own home. And the 6 provides that for us. If you think about what the 6 looks like, it's that kind of like that pregnant belly feeling, that mothering, that nurturing, that wanting to take care of, wanting to also be in self-care. So bubble baths with citrine, things like this. An activity you could do would be to feng shui the soul. When we redesign our house, and I don't mean like it could be something major if you want, but this could be as simple as painting one accent wall. It could be as simple as getting a new pillow, or rearranging one piece of furniture, or dusting the places that you don't normally get to, right? When we freshen things up in that home energy, it also freshens things up in our own body. Our body is a temple, and this idea of working with the home, refreshing the home in July, I think will be helpful on your spiritual development journey. The first half of July here, we're making steady progress. Sometimes things get worse before they get better. Just because we have clarity doesn't mean it's comfortable, right? So keep going. Don't stop before the miracle happens. Mars will conjunct Uranus in the skies July 15th, so you'll probably feel it about a week before. I didn't mean to write Sagittarius there, so forgive me. But this Mars conjunct Uranus is lightning bolt speed, something that's really pushing us forward and outside of our comfort zone. And then as we look to the second half of July, we've got the sun is sextile Uranus, Mars, and the South Node. So the sun sextile those 3, and then it will trine Neptune and oppose Pluto. That's a lot of conflicting energy. So I do feel like the idea that you could be benefit really from making home a place you run to and not away from will support you during these changing times, right? So in August, right, I think the whole year is about self-development, but let's see what I mean by this. Here's a book recommendation for you as Warrior of Light by Paulo Coelho. It's one of those that you can kind of flip through easily and just pick up a page and see what hits and doesn't, really bite-sized chunks. And so that could be an easy one to add to your self-care list. A journal activity could have to do with inner child healing. So, what would the best mom and dad in the world have told you at a critical time? Or what do you need to hear from the best potential mom and dad in the world now? The idea is that you're going to unconditionally love yourself and choose yourself. Let's see, in August, the sun sextiles Jupiter, trines Chiron, and squares Uranus. So your spiritual support team is surrounding you with love and light when you ask. The angels, the ancestors, the guides, the tribes of light, and the sacred beings who support your journey are drawing near. This is a reminder, right? Prayer, yoga, meditation, these things will help you on your self-discovery path. They might look a little different. Your prayer might be a run in the park, right? Your meditation might be doing the dishes. They can come in different forms. Look for the synchronicities in August, and really, I just want you to be practicing these self-development activities, whatever your prayers are, whatever your meditations are, and that is what's going to strengthen you and give you more confidence. Towards the end of August, we've got Jupiter squaring Saturn in the skies, and this will occur again in December. This brings a lot of tension, right? So Saturn constricts and gives us the rules and the outlines, and Jupiter expands, and it's like this conflict between what we want to do with our precious human life and the direction of our dreams, and then what our responsibilities are and what our duties are. And so those energies are in conflict with each other, and we will revisit this in December. As we look into September, there's some 8th house themes for you to play with. Whenever the 8th house is activated, it's almost like, where is it that you need to kind of cooperate and be in the band? You can't just be a drummer off by yourself and make money. I mean, you can, of course, you could teach lessons. There are things you can do. But the analogy here is more like, how could we work together with our individual strengths and challenges, right? How can we bring everything we have and play? A self-development activity for you here with the 8th house focus is going to be to think about where you choose to work with others and where you feel forced to. I want you to think about who is in your band and what areas of life do require teamwork or would benefit from joint ventures. What does that look like for you as the month unfolds? The first half of September, a little bit more challenging. It's more like slow and steady, slow and steady. Mars is going to square Neptune early in the month. That's tension, right? That's a disruption of peace and plans. Things aren't what they seem, so just go slow, safety first. And we have this eclipse happening in your 8th house we've been talking about. So this 8th house is on the money axis, and this is one of those things that's not like the other. The other eclipses have the same theme going on. This one's a little bit different for you, and it has to do with the 2nd and 8th house. So my income and my shared resources. It's way more than that, right? My net worth is not my self-worth, that type of a thing. But I want you to consider this different set of questions here. So this different set of questions may lead you back into some ideas about what your financial journey looks like because of your ancestry, because of your genetics, because of your programming, because of your culture, because of the world that we all live in. And so I want you to take some of these ideas and explore, are these themes that I need to embrace, that I want to embrace, or am I self-sabotaging when it comes to finances or sharing things? Am I needing to detox from some financial or emotional entanglements? Am I needing to do money differently than the way that my family did? And as we consider this, the rest of the month here, we are in this 3rd peg. This moon family story started back in March of 2023 and culminates in 2025. And a self-development activity could be to look for where 25 degrees of Pisces is in your chart. Did I say that right? Yeah. So as you're continuing to consider this idea of being in a band, knowing that the seasons change, the sun moves into Libra, we have an equinox, right? The sun in Libra, the Libra is ruled by Venus. So this falling in love, this balancing out, this aesthetically pleasing fairness, right? Rose quartz, apple, juniper, cherry sunflowers, and thyme. These are the flavors of sun in Libra. So we're looking for balance. We're looking to restore. We're looking to rest and rejuvenate. In October, okay, yep, it's going to have some ups and downs to it for sure, like any other month. It is a 9-month, which is very similar to the energy of January of needing that integration, closure, completion, and assimilation. And so I've got a self-care activity for you that has to do with making a huge list that you put in a binder of all of your spiritual healers. And this is something you could share with a friend or your family so that they know where it is too. But this is all of your doctors or the doctors you might want to work with, your Western, your Eastern, and your herbalists, your nutrition people, all of the wellness spaces that you want to enjoy, whether they are natural and free and finding a labyrinth somewhere cool, or whether it's a new gym or yoga space or float tank, something like this. On this list, you're going to include any counselors or therapists or healers, right? Like the Reiki, the coaches, all of them, anything that you think that is part of your own spiritual healers list. And then I want you to create one for your home remedies. So all of your home remedies, this is your personal first aid, your go-to things, all right? Like I have a whole little Tiffany kit for bee stings because I keep bees. So I want to keep everybody safe and informed when they're on my property of what I do in case of a sting. But there's more, right? We want to make sure that you have a go-to list that makes you feel really healthy, cared for, considered by your inner parent and your inner child. The sun will oppose Chiron and square Mars and Pluto this month. So those are more tense. Those are more challenging. These things are brought to your attention for the purpose of helping you overcome it, right? Life is happening for us and from us, not to us. And so we have these moments to face and things, I don't want to say head on, but really just be honest with ourselves about what's challenging us. There could be some lingering fears or resentments. And if I'm upset, I might ask myself, is there something here that I'm actually afraid of, right? So the field is kind of irritable, restless, and discontent. And especially so around this eclipse, which is happening in Libra, the sign of relationships. I think we'll see some breakups and makeups and interesting relationships in the media this year for sure. This one is in your 3rd house. So we're back on our themes of the education platform, the sharing of information, the travel, the foreign cultures, the humanitarian kind of teaching, these type of themes. So your network's changing, travel's changing, could be just a Zoom class. It doesn't have to mean that you get on a plane. What student and teacher dynamics are changing that you're being made aware of. I certainly have had some difficulties in that department, right? When people turn out to just be people, right? Myself included. So don't put anybody on a pedestal, but be aware and see what you can learn from others based on what you know to be true in your soul, right? You'll always recognize the truth. And so you might be deconditioning from the things that what did I say? Deconditioning, asking questions to help you grow past what you know and how you were conditioned to be in society. I always have yoga on every slide. When I got invited to do this one, I was like, I'm just going to tell everybody to do yoga, right? Like it's such a great solution for many things, no matter what kind of class you're taking either. So, all right, in October, this particular eclipse kicks off a new 2.5-year cycle that will culminate in December of 2026. Get with your astrologer and find where 10 degrees of Libra hits your chart. The sun will move into Scorpio, my sign, the sign of transformation, here at the end of the year. This helps you get curious about the afterlife. It helps you get curious about your own psychic senses. You might want to take some psychic development classes. Your spidey senses might be on a little bit more, or you can just have an interest, right, in the metaphysical side of life. In November, the courage to change something. So November, much like February, is a 1 month where we need to stay focused on something, right? And that focus is what helps give us the clarity and the spiritual vision we need to be able to move forward. So I have something I teach in my yoga class, right? That there's a bunch of studies where people on their deathbed were asked, like, what do you regret? What do you wish you had done? And my Mimi, who was 102 when she passed, I asked her this question too. And so what is it that you would have done? Well, she, like the data, said I would have traveled more, that I would have spent more time with, she didn't say this. She said she would have traveled more. That was it, in sentence. In the research, people also regret not spending more time with their family and not saying I love you more. So, could you write a gratitude list for all of the good things that you have experienced thus far? Do you need to write a promise letter to your inner child for the joy that you're going to create with them moving forward in this precious human life? Do you have the courage to do something a little different? Mars opposite Pluto. So, Mars opposing Pluto towards Halloween time and releasing on the 3rd does bring some pretty big tension, right? That desire to change, that desire to do something differently, that forging through the fire type of energy. So the rest of November, there's going to be some normal ups and downs with the sun and its transits. So the karma boomerang, Saturn is the lord of karma. So however you've been living your life, you might see some fruit of that. So if you squeeze a lemon, lemon juice comes out, right? Lemonade comes out. If you squeeze Tiffany when things are tight, what comes out of me? Is it peace, or is it a more volatile response? Like, what is it that's inside that's going to come out of you? So Sun trine Saturn helps you keep your discipline, keep your practices. You never know what you're practicing for. You might notice some more creativity during November. You're definitely going to feel that forward momentum. The sun will move into Sagittarius. And we all need that about this time of year. So yes, we're still on this quest for fun and adventure. And where can you lighten up a little bit as the sun moves into Sagittarius? Sagittarius is benevolent, right? The sun in Sagittarius brings us a sense of joy and luck and really just that magic carpet ride of life. It's very optimistic, very hopeful, and very generous. And then Mercury retrogrades towards the end of November in your 5th house of fun. So, what are you re-envisioning about your life's quest? What do you need to make some edits in this time of year? Because not only is Mercury retrograde, but we'll see soon that Mars is too. So December, a little bit more quiet time. The sun will square Neptune and Saturn and the nodes, so all squares. So downtime is not wasted time. You might need to have some more internal reflection. What can you take off your plate this month? The retrograde cycle of Mars is going to go through your 12th and 1st house. And this is why earlier in the workshop, I was suggesting becoming supernatural, right? Using the subconscious into the conscious, working with that 12th house, the house of troubles, and turning it into the house of redemption. Working with the themes of the 1st house and losing the selfishness and the self-seeking motives. My friend describes self-seeking motives as when you make deals with other people and don't tell them about it. Okay. So losing selfishness, losing the sense of the self, so that you can really identify with that core spiritual being that you are. Towards the end of the year here, we get our summer or winter solstice where I am, maybe summer for you. But the sun will enter Capricorn. And so it will remain in Capricorn through the rest of the year. And so, yes, there's some practical magic with the sun in Capricorn. Absolutely. It's much more earthy energy. It's much more Stevie Nicks energy. There's an element of transformation, being able to see long-term vision. And there's just a little bit of magic, especially in the apiary this time of year. Now, as we close out 2024, Jupiter will square Saturn for the 2nd time, okay? And so these growing pains that we were feeling back in August are coming back around to be reconciled. So the thing that we want to do most with the thing that we have to do, and balancing those out in a way that feels good, right? So you don't have to be the doormat, but you also don't have to always get your way 100% of the time. There's some balance to be struck with our responsibilities, maturities, duties, and also our biggest and wildest dreams. So what's in your awareness around these topics this time of year? So that's it, guys. We made it through the year. Again, I'm Tiffany. I've got some resources for you. Thanks for hanging out with me. My website's tiffanyharlick.com. You'll find a workbook for the spiritual astrology activities by the house. There's a great article called Decisions that my friend Leisha and April and I wrote that I still refer to personally because it helps you, on your own soul's evolution. When you're trying to make a decision, you have a unique way of doing that. There's not a right or wrong way to do it. So if the astrology is conflicting to you, looking at this article can be useful. Great one about Chiron and Aries. Another one about Cazimis that my friend Sasha Boyle wrote. If you're playing around on my site, you're definitely going to see stuff about beekeeping and astrology. You'll see my Friday newsletter I send out and give tidbits of what's going on in the weekend forecast. You can also work with me in one-on-one sessions. Some of the outside resources I mentioned, the Silva Method Meditation, The Inner Sky by Stephen Forrest. This is a great book for beginners or advanced students, a really solid foundational piece in evolutionary astrology, and the Heart Math Institute. Now, one more time, I just invite you to check out my calendar. Please use the code STORMY2024 so that you can get your discount. And if you'd like to become a certified astrologer with me in 2024, I'm teaching at the Lisa Williams School. And I also offer free classes through my membership. So I really appreciate you being here, Leo. I hope you have the best year ever. I hope you have the best day ever. And if you need to take it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, break it down into smaller chunks, that's fine. Just be aware that this is your precious human life, that you make all the shots, and that it's your choice how you feel and how you experience this year. So I hope I've given you some useful tidbits. It's my pleasure and honor to serve you. And until we can work together again, Leos, namaste.